It is a sin to write this. It is a sin to think words no others think, and to put them down upon a paper no others are to see. It is base and evil. It is as if we were speaking alone, to no ears but our own. And we know well that there is no transgression blacker than to do or think alone. We have broken the laws. The laws say that men may not write unless the council of vocations bid them so. May we be forgiven. Anthem by Ayn Rand was written in 1937 and first published as a novella in 1938. Alice O'Connor, better known for her pen name Ayn Rand, was a Russian-born American writer and notably known for creating the philosophy known as objectivism. Objectivism to me is like the ultimate ego philosophy. Ego with like a capital E. The terrain is objective reality, and the inner consciousness that you have, it holds like its own form, and that form is tied to your identity. How you bring about this expression into your life of your identity, it's determined by your ego, and your ego is in turn nurtured by your own thoughts, the mind. In Atlas Shrugged, Ayn Rand, she wrote, "Man's mind is his basic tool of survival. To remain alive, he must think. Your ability to reason is essentially the source of knowledge that guides your values and actions in life. Your primary goal, in turn, is the moral obligation to achieve your own well-being. It's your own self-interest. This is known as ethical or rational egoism. It's a logical conclusion to the evidence," Ayn Rand says. "Else human beings would not live with any orientation to reality." As stated by Rand herself, this is a philosophy for living on Earth. Rand has many works that illustrate her philosophy, but it was Anthem that made its presence most known to me. I was in my sophomore year of high school when we were assigned to read Anthem, and like most things that you're forced to do in school, there's no real internal motivation to really do anything. There's no real internal motivation to, see it through or read it. And most of the story beats flew over my head. I remember I found interesting the fact that it was set in like a dystopian universe. The language that she uses reflects the setting. It says in the story that the word I, it's illegal to use, so whenever the character refers to themselves, it's in the we sense, it's in the multiple sense. I had never really read a book that I thought showed that type of imagination and creativity. I knew that I would keep it shelved because I would just found that element interesting, so I would go over it again. And over the years, I heard of Ayn Rand while I was studying philosophy in high school and college. It wasn't until earlier this year I decided to read Anthem again. And the themes really hit home, especially for everything that I'm trying to talk about and really go through. It was my introduction to Rand's philosophy, and she expressed it so beautifully over the course of the story. I couldn't help but compare it to Nietzsche's Thus Spoke Zarathustra. It's a tongue twister. I enjoyed it. It was old. It's kind of old English poetry. So some parts I needed to look up to further understand. And towards the end, it kind of got a little tedious to continue reading in that fashion. I did skip over some sections, but I did enjoy what it was going through. The ideas shared a certain value system that I found interesting in the story. It was essentially about sovereign will and rising up against the masses. What I was saying was, I found it very interesting how this writer from the 1800s took the idea behind an Übermensch, a Superman, and it was interesting to see how they formulated it according to what they knew about at the time. Nietzsche really just had his environment to base himself around, and essentially what we know today, it gives more legs to that feeling of being the Superman, of being the Übermensch, because we have more individualistic cultures today than they ever have before, which is why we're able to wrap our heads around it better. But these were like the beginning seeds of that growth. And Ayn Rand, she took it her own way. My philosophy, in essence, is the concept of man as a heroic being, with his own happiness as the moral purpose of his life, with productive achievement as his noblest activity, and reason as his only absolute. For this series, I think it's going to be a series. I'm going to go over it part by part. It's split up, I think, into like 20 parts. I want to stop to make key points, but I want to essentially go over the entire story. Some parts that are interesting to me, it begins right away. We'll start with the author's foreword. It was written in the edition that I have. It was published in 2015. I'm going to grab it right now. Okay, so it's currently 3:33 a.m. where I am because So it's currently 3:33 a.m. where I am because for like the last 2 hours there was just a dog incessantly barking for like 2 hours.
Like 2 hours! 2 hours!
I thought I could hear it in my dreams. And when I finally saw that it was like 3 a.m., I don't know, I felt like a push to just get up and start making vids. I needed a push, so I went out there and I banged on the door of the owners of the dog, I thought, because I could hear the dog on the other side of this door. So I was like, bah, 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 bah. Was I justified? Was I justified? Loud as hell. And when I banged on the door, a lady like peeped out of her balcony. She was like, what? What's going on? I'm like, is that your dog? ¿Es the perro? Is that your dog? She was like, see? Yeah. I was like, do you not hear it barking its head off for like 2 hours? It's been doing that for like 2 hours. She's like, okay, but just don't knock like that because we just got up. I'm like, brother, how am I going to go to sleep if this thing is still barking? How are y'all even asleep? This thing is loud as hell. She was just, and then a guy came out and he was like, what's wrong? What's going on? What's wrong? I'm like, is that your dog? Yes or no? Like, they didn't, like, this guy didn't want to tell me if this was his dog or not. He was like, oh yeah, but like, what do you want from me? Like, what do you want to do about it? I'm like, what do you think, bro? It's 3 a.m. and it's barking. Loud, really loud, and it just keeps barking. And y'all just gonna keep ignoring it? Like, nothing's gonna happen? And no one else is gonna say anything too? I just thought that was some BS. And when I was coming home, I let it go either way, like even if the dog was still barking, because I'm like, all right, fuck it. I'm up anyways. I might as well just make the best out of it. So it's 3 a.m. We're going to keep going through Anthem, and sorry about it, that story took a long time. I've never done that before because damn, I was tired, bro. That was just some BS, but I'm also using it to my advantage, I guess. I don't know if you guys can still hear the dog. I think that was also what was bothering me too. I was like, even if I wake up right now, this dog is just going to be in the background just barking its head off. That's all day. I think you can hear it. You can't hear it, right? Can you hear it? All right, whatever. This story was written in 1937. I have edited it for this publication, but have confined the editing to its style. I have reworded some passages and cut out some excessive language. No idea or incident was added or omitted. The theme, content, and structure are untouched. The story remains as it was. I have lifted its face, but not its spine or spirit. These did not need lifting. So not only does this serve as a strong opening, but it also gives us a good indication for what kind of story we're in. She goes on to address some issues collectivists had at the time of the publishing. They said that the story that she presented wasn't true to the collectivist ideals, which, we might try to go over as we read the book. She fires back by stating that, like, any government or council, as you saw in the beginning of in the first lines of the book that I read earlier, these councils, if they're allowed to dictate the use of a man's labor for the majority, even if it is for the majority or the good of everyone, it runs the parallel process of a slavery and human degradation mindset. It will be too late, she says, once the world is in bloody ruins and concentration camps. And it'll be all due to the fact that they place the life of the majority above the life of the individual. While seemingly acceptable by moral default, it is inherently an empty assertion designed to promote poverty. She goes on to say, Those who want slavery should have the grace to name it by its proper name. They must face the full meaning of that which they are advocating, the full exact meaning of collectivism, its logical implications, and the ultimate consequences to which these principles will lead. They must face it, then decide whether this is what they want or not. Formulating their own ideas of piece of shit car.